Welcome back, everybody, to another shocking courtroom sentencing episode of Lockdown 23 in 1. That's right, today we're traveling down to Ohio. I don't know if you remember the story of that girl that was stuck in a shed for like 4 or 5 days and she came running out. Police seen her, she was all bruised up. Well, she turned out to be a homeless girl. I'm gonna break it down here in a second, but someone kidnapped her. Tied her up, put her in that shed, and today he's gonna be sentenced for it. But man, this guy got so many breaks, it's unreal. Wait till you hear his rap sheet. Dude should never have been walking the streets to begin with. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you wanna be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, so I'm going to break down a little bit of the situation on why he's in the courtroom, then we'll jump into the courtroom and witness him get smoked for his crimes. Or sentenced, for anybody that might be new and doesn't know exactly what smoke means on this channel. It says here, William Mozingo, 34, has been sentenced for a recent abduction charge in October 2023. He held 23-year-old Chloe Jones against her will in a shed for 4 days and repeatedly struck her with a baseball bat before police rescued her. In her victim impact statement, Jones recalled being homeless and how Mozingo promised her shelter, but instead he tied her up and held her against her will. After kidnapping her, he also poured gasoline on her, strangled her, and threatened her multiple times. Mozingo pled guilty hours before he was scheduled to appear in a jury trial. He pleaded guilty to charges including felonious assault, kidnapping, strangulation, and escape. Mozingo recorded over 400 videos as he held Jones against her will. Mitchell and assistant prosecutor Emily Williams showed the court 10 videos. Much of the footage viewed was darkly lit and visually indistinct, but Mozingo can be heard threatening Jones. He demanded payment for cigarettes and threatened to burn her alive, according to the footage. Later in the sentencing hearing, which we're going to hear today, I believe, Mozingo apologized to the court and Jones. But this is where I just don't understand how this guy was walking the streets. I've seen so many people in the state of Virginia get over 20 years for abduction. Their first abduction, alright? Now keep that in mind when I read this. Mozingo has previously pled guilty in 4 other abduction or kidnapping related cases. Between 2009 and 2015. Did you hear that? He pled guilty to 4 other kidnapping abduction cases already. Somehow he was out in the streets to do this between 2009 and 2015. Makes no sense. Dude should have been got smoked from here to kingdom come. If so, none of this would have happened with this girl. Not to mention all the other victims that he got in a mix with after the first abduction. But it says in 2009 he pled guilty to abduction, domestic violence, and endangering children. 2 years later he pled guilty to another abduction and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. In 2015 he pled guilty to abduction and got 9 months in prison. His third abduction, and he got less time than what he got for his first one. Make this makes sense. In 2017, Mozingo pled guilty to another abduction and aggravated menacing. According to court records, he received just 18 months. He also pled guilty to felonious assault in an unrelated case in 2020. Unreal, once again, that this guy was even walking the streets. So let's go ahead and get into the courtroom and see if the judge has something a little stiffer planned for him when it comes down to sentencing today.
All right.
No, Your Honor.
No, Judge.
Okay, well, this is a difficult case, there's no doubt. We're all glad it didn't go to trial, honestly.
Yep.
Certainly the conduct here is extreme, and I believe it should be met with extreme punishment. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I'm never going to understand how one human can cause serious harm to another. I'm never going to be able to understand that. The pain and harm that you've caused for this victim is going to never be gone from her. She's got serious and long-lasting consequences from what happened here. And we may never know what was going on in your head or what caused you to do these things, but what I am going to do is follow the recommendations of the attorneys and impose a sentence, whereas you will not be out and able to make these types of decisions again for quite a while.
It was going good until she said for quite a while. That means he's probably gonna still have a chance to hit the streets. Unreal. Mandatory life for this guy. He's committed more abductions than a UFO.
So when I am making a decision as to sentencing, I have to review the seriousness and the recidivism factors set forth in the revised code 2929.12. Clearly, and when we look at the seriousness factors, the victim suffered serious physical, psychological harm. And when I look at the recidivism factors, at the time that this happened, you were under post-release control for an earlier offense. You had a history of criminal convictions. You were out on a warrant at the time. And despite prior attempts to rehabilitate you, you engaged in the same behavior that you'd previously engaged in. And so I will find that both the seriousness and the recidivism factors weigh in favor of a prison sentence.
And recidivism, I know people have heard the phrase recidivism rate, but it pretty much means, the chances of this guy coming back to prison, returning back, is extremely high. He's had every chance under the sun. Probation program, not to mention, he just keeps on committing somewhat the same crimes. So his recidivism rate is through the roof. He is the prime example of recidivism.
Based on all the facts and circumstances and consideration of those relevant sentencing factors, considering the statement of the victim and the victim's family, the state, the defense, your statement, applying the minimum sanction, I'm determining will protect the public and punish you without imposing any unnecessary burden on state and local resources. And again, analyzing all the factors I'm required to analyze, I am going to impose the following sentence.
Hold on, did she just say that the minimal end of the sentencing is the best route here? It says here when a judge imposes the minimum sanctions.
Applying the minimum sanction, I'm determining will protect the public and punish you.
It means that they are choosing the lightest possible punishment for a violation or offense. This often happens when the person's misconduct is not severe and the judge wants to deter future bad behavior without imposing a harsher penalty. The specific nature of the sanction depends on the context of the case, such as whether it is a civil or criminal matter. So I guess I was hearing it right. I just can't absolutely believe it. This dude's getting the low end of the stick once again. Unfathomable.
I am going to impose the following sentence.
Wow.
So on counts, I will find that counts 1, 2, and 5 do merge for sentencing purposes. And on those counts, on count 1, I will impose a sentence of 11 to 16 and a half years under the Reagan-Tokes law, and I will review that with you again in a minute. Because that is going to be the longest sentence that I impose, that will be the one that will carry the Reagan-Tokes tail. On counts 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8, all felonious assault counts, I am going to find that at least 2 of those are separate offenses. When I look at the TBI that was suffered and the injuries to her eyes, clearly there was enough of an impact to cause that type of injury. And then we've got the testimony of going to hurt your other eye. We've got the videos demonstrating that, and all those factors. I would consider any head injuries to be one serious physical harm, which would warrant a separate sentencing for purposes of everything. And then also we have the use of a bat, which is a deadly weapon, and then also we have the fractures in her hand and the bruises all over her body. I mean, I just don't see how bruises can be developed in different stages if they didn't happen in different stages, and that was what I was told today, is that the bruises were in different stages of development. So I'm going to impose a sentence of 5 years on count 3 and 5 years on count 4.
Starting to rack up now.
Count 10, and counts, and I guess I should be more specific.
Yeah, he's getting some damn years in prison, that's for sure, but it's still the minimal.
On count 6, 7, and 8, I'm going to impose 4 years. I'm going to state that those 3 counts can be sentenced separately, but those will run concurrent with each other, but consecutive to counts 3 and 4, which will be consecutive. So we have 11 and a half, 16 and a half, plus another 10. The strangulation is a separate offense. I don't know how anybody could possibly, the legislature went to the father of creating a strangulation offense because of the fact that we have this activity occurring in our society right now where people think it's okay to strangle somebody. For that offense, I'm going to impose 2 years, and I'm going to impose 2 years for the escape. So that comes out to 25 to 31 and a half years. I am going to run counts 1, 2, and 5. Obviously, we said that merges. Consecutive with counts 3, consecutive with counts 4, concurrent with 6, 7, and 8, and consecutive with 10. And then the escape on the other case is consecutive by law.
I remember my buddy Busy. He was 18 years old in Deep Meadows State Penitentiary. I just got done beating an abduction case. I was facing 25 to 50. Got it tattooed right on my arm. I'll never forget it. Most terrifying days of my life, man, facing that much time for something I didn't even do. But when I got to prison, like I said, my buddy Busy, he did get convicted for abduction and got over 20 years in prison at 18 years old. And then my buddy Duke, man, he just wanted to do a little prank on a pizza guy. Yeah, it was a little extreme. But they ordered a pizza instead of, doing a normal thing, paying the money, get a pizza. They kidnapped the pizza guy, put him in the trunk, drove around the block a few times, and then let him go. 24 years they gave a juvenile. Little Duke, man, I'll never forget him. So to see this guy, on his 5th abduction case, get pretty much the same amount of time as the guys I just broke down to you on their first case is unreal to me. That's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, every single day to stay free. Because you don't know what the fuck's going to come your way in the courtroom, man. I'm here to tell you. You could get a slap on the wrist or you could be gone for decades. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, 25 years in the Ohio prison system. I don't know how much good time they get to inmates, but, this guy could be out in the next 20. And, even though no one's lost their life, my condolences still go out to the victims in this case, man. So many people traumatized for the rest of their damn lives because of this man. But I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave. And as always, until the next time, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.